All right, everyone, welcome back to Wrath of the Wyvern, Sons of Rivesk, a game by Lion Banner Games. Um, last week was there were quite a few glaring technical issues, so I apologize for that. I'm still kind of new to the streaming process, so when I had set everything up for session one, I imagined everything was just going to stay the same. So when I turned everything back on, I just thought, okay, the audio will be fine. And then I didn't even double check any of it. So I am so sorry for the last episode. I double checked and triple checked everything today and made sure I gave myself a little extra time to prepare all of that before I even sat down to stream. So we're in the clear. And I have also printed off all of the reference information. I didn't do that the first time around. I'm not sure why I didn't do that, but it probably would have helped me a lot, especially last week, because I know I was very out of it and just not very coherent and or cohesive with any of the rules. I was just doing. Anyways, so here we are. I figured we could start off by taking a look at some of the lore that's present within the game, because there's a lot in the game within the game world that I didn't really touch on. I kind of like briefly did over the last couple of sessions, but there's just so much more that that goes along to this game world. So let me see. I had it pulled up a moment ago. Sorry, I was doing some last minute changes and I forgot to scroll back to where we left off. So this is a good starting point. Let's talk about the history of the people of the Umbral Highlands. The people of the Umbral Highlands are proud, resilient, and rooted in tradition, having endured generations of hardship and struggle. Each clan forms a close-knit community where bloodline, honor, and heritage form their identity. The clans are led by a chieftain who enforces local laws and ensures safety over his domain. From a young age, Highlanders are bred and trained to be warriors who can withstand the elements and use steel in battle. Their tartan kilts are the banner they wave in battle, each color signaling the clan for which they fight. There is no life without honor, and no death that cannot be avenged. The seasons dictate the life of a Highlander. Farming, trading, and bartering are all intertwined with the seasons. The change of seasons are marked by festivals and rituals. Songs, dances, and offerings are made to mark the change of each season. Tradition is at the heart of their stories. Elders gather around hearths or fire pits and recount the glorious deeds and events shaping the Highlands. Youngsters listen in wonder as a vivid picture of awe-inspiring historic tales are painted. There are also bards who, with the gift of music, can sing of the glorious battles of warriors in old. We've already met one bard, Duff, and he was pretty cool. So let's continue. Despite the differences and disputes between the clans, the Highlanders are bound by something more important than blood: the land. The Highlanders are the essence, or sorry, the Highlands are the essences of their soul. Diogaltus. The known world is gripped by constant war and strife. The Umbral Highlands have mostly kept their distance from these wars, but this has changed in the last few years. The neighboring realm of the Land of Kings, or Tirnanrai, has been constantly involved in schemes and battles to expand its influence. Good lord, I cannot speak this evening. Their brash young king, Edwin IV, entered a war known as the Battle of the Great Chasm. A dispute over mineral resources has brought about a large-scale war involving 3 kingdoms. Goodness. Got a little bit of a Dynasty Warriors thing going on. For the Land of the Kings, this long war of attrition has left them with fewer troops to defend their realm. With the rise of the Wyverns leading attacks near the border, and after the Battle of the Great Chasm, the young king finds himself in a predicament. The king's solution was to boost the ranks of their army with mighty clan warriors. Though many sought coins and readily joined the military, they were too few. The young monarch deployed the remainder of his powerful forces to make incursions into the highlands and take by force men of all ages to join his ranks. Though many resisted and perished, some could only surrender themselves to this cruel tactic to save their families from retaliation. As such, the clan warriors were equally intimidated by the roving press gangs to join the war of the neighboring realms. The gangs, made up of knights, soldiers, and treasonous Highlanders, ventured across the lands from home to home, clan to clan, imposed forced conscription. Those who willingly signed up were given coins for their family, and those who refused put up a fight. Those who refused and put up a fight were met with violence. As each side attempted to impose their will, the Highlander clans were caught in the middle and divided. Thousands of clan warriors were forced to abandon their homeland to fight in a distant war in an unknown land for a king to whom they never swore allegiance. They became known as the Diogaltes. Vengeance. There we go. Sorry, my USB cord has a dongle if I want to attach USB instead of jack. And for whatever reason, it was just kind of bumping against the edge of my table. It's driving me nuts. Alright, so I believe that's it for this section. Yes. We will go into some more detail. I figured we'll do, some bite-sized chunks of lore. Why is this not? I'm trying to get you over here. Why is this? There we go. Okay, there we go. I was like scrolling and it would not go to the other screen. All right, so let us begin. Okay, so last week we left off, let's see, quest 8. I don't even remember what the name of that quest was. The town of Strivelin. We had to convince some merchants or there was a dispute between some merchants and the clan matriarch, and we had to get in between them and kind of choose sides. Although our character was not very tactful, so unfortunately, we weren't able to sway any decisions and kind of were promptly ushered out of town. So now we must continue our journey, and it is now day number 7 of the Umbral Highlands. 7 days. We've been out. Well, yeah, we've been out adventuring for a week already. Okay. So I have 4 movement points. So I should be able to move a couple of spaces. So I think I'm going to go this way first. Let's see. I'm going to go 1 at least. There's 1. 2. Oh, look, there's a camp. 3. Oh, wow, we have a couple of choices. We got some standing stones here. And a village. We've only got 1 move action, and I feel like we're going to need quite a few points to use these. I don't want to click on them until we get to them. So I think I'm going to stop at the camp since I have 1 more point left, because we were at 8, and I had 3 movement points. And here, let me pull up the character sheet here. Just to kind of confirm. 4 movement points. Sorry, it's very hard. I know it's hard for y'all to see all the numbers here, so that's why I have digital aspects to kind of help with visualization of the game. So now we come back here, and I'm probably going to lose my Fog of War. It always happens every time. There we go. All right, so we've got only 1 more. We're going to stop for the night here. Alrighty. So, as we move across the map, and I'm sorry if I'm feeling a little redundant. I just like to explain the rules as I go a couple of times, just to kind of help. I know everybody sometimes can be tuning in the middle of a game and not really seeing the previous episodes, and I understand not wanting to take the time to let me stop this video real quick to learn the rules. So let's go ahead and learn the game as we play every time. So Army Camp Hex. Every well, actually, before I get to that, I kind of squirreled a little bit here. Got ahead of myself. So when you move on the map, you'll move your movement points, and you'll want to save some of those movement points because when you land at a space, you'll use your remainder to do a couple of different specific hex actions. So in this case, we have an army camp hex. We can see these are our army camp actions here. And it says you can only interact with the camp once per visit. The camp is disbanded if you succeed at the duel with the Knight Commander. So those are the two main important things about this particular hex style, the army camp hex. So I have 3 actions: camping and foraging, which is atypical. Most tiles will allow you to camp and basically gather materials, level up, do whatever you need to. There's a few different options, which we'll go over once I get back to that screen. And then we have a couple of different other actions depending on the tile. So in this case, I have sabotage supplies and challenge the camp commander. Unfortunately, I don't have enough actions to be able to do the sabotage. So all I can do is camping and foraging. So it says military patrols keep the area controlled and resources seized. Camp and forage actions are disabled in this hex. So I guess I cannot camp here. Well, that's kind of bleh. I'm just going to go ahead and move that last hex over. Since I can't do anything there, I may as well move to this town and see what I can unlock here. So we're just going to walk past that little camp, because bye-bye. Can't do anything, I can't rest. Alrighty, so here is our next quest. I'm going to mark that on my quest marker here, 9, Village, Rosehall. Okay, so I'm going to pause. Every time that you land on any hex that has a numerical entry, that means that there is a quest, much like we see here. I clicked on it, and we had some text pop up, and there are some choices to make. These are quests, and you want to mark them so you know that you've visited already, and you don't have to worry about dealing with it again. Or you can mark your progress, because some of these they can go on for a bit. They have a bit of sustenance to them, and others are just very simple, quick little narrative cinematic event, and then it's over with and you can move on. So let us go ahead, and I'm going to finish all of this first, and then I'll go back and go through the quest tracker, just to kind of ease on the flipping back and forth with screens, because for whatever reason, when I switch back to the Highland hex map, it just kind of slows things down. So we'll just do it once and then go back. So here we are. The village of Rosehall is renowned for its strong, resilient people. It burns year-round. The center of the village, a bonfire according to the village elder, a weathered woman named Merla. The bonfire honors the goddess Psyche, and it is said to protect the village from the Wyverns. According to legend, centuries ago, the village was targeted by a wyvern, and the villagers were blessed by the winter goddess due to the bonfire. Merla asks if you've seen any signs of the wyvern's return. Will their village be protected? So now we got to make a choice here. Yes or no? What will that choice be? I was logged in, right? No, I don't want to see it like that. I want to go back to my page. Stream Manager. That's how I want to do it. Okay. let us go ahead and move on. I want to be nice and tell them, yes, we're going to protect their village. Oh, hold on. I have to turn on my audio. There we go. The Wyverns have returned for good, and her village will face their wrath. Gain a save token, gain a strain point, and I can perform village hex actions. Okay, so I'm going to pause for just a moment. Actually, you know what? This is right here. This is a TTRPG, and I've got a ring right here. So in the game, you get save tokens. Saves in the game are pretty common affair, and they're pretty simplistic. You have 6 cards in your fate deck, and they're basically symbols that represent your 5 statistics plus luck. And so you'll take a look at your stats, and your stats help you determine how many cards you draw from those. So normally, you would draw 1 and whatever your stat element is. So in this case, I have 2 strength. So the way it works is for every 2 points in stat, you gain 1 extra card, starting with 1. So, or I guess like, you know, at strength 0, if I didn't have any strength, I would only draw 1 card. At strength 1 and 2, I would draw 2 cards. At strength 3 and 4, I would draw 3 cards. Strength 4 and 5, I would draw 4 cards. You can also have advantage, which would give you extra cards. I think actually 4 is the max between all sources. Anyways, save token. The save token is there for when you make your saves. If you fail, you could say, oh, you know what? I'm going to use my save token and redraw that entire save. So you would shuffle your cards back, redeal them, and take that result. Since it's pass or fail, you know, it's not going to hurt. You know, if you failed it and you're using your token again, it's going to save you. Save tokens don't come around too often, but they are somewhat common, so don't worry about necessarily holding onto them. Because, you know, you might find another one not too long later. Not too long down the road. Okay, so I gained my save token. And I guess dealing with the village and them getting stressed out because, oh no, dragons are here! And we gained a strain point. So I'm going to mark that. And so every time that you gain strain, brood, or sorrow, they do a couple of different things. Strain is like your stamina, kind of. If that's a good explanation of what it is. Let me see if I can find the reference. So, for every 2 strain, you subtract 1 force point. And when you get to 6, you're exhausted. You've got to rest and do what you can to remove strain. Okay, so I gained 1 strain point, I gained a save point or a save token, and now I can perform village hex actions. So now we can look at some of those. So rest and resupply. Spend time in the village inn and market. Recover 2 health, remove 1 strain, and gain 1 ration. Right, that's what it says. I'm pretty certain that's what it says. Oh, I can't even make this any bigger, can I? I'm sorry, I am blind as a bat. Why did that do that? Ah. Alright, moving on. I'm going to assume it says recover 2 health. I'm at 16 health, so it's not going to help me much. So we're just going to rest, resupply, and then camp. So remove 1 strain. Kind of redundant there. But it is what it is. Because if I had done this, and I wouldn't have done the rest and resupply. So I guess that's why it would have mattered. So now we can do the village actions. So let's see. I think it was clan village hex actions. Oh wait, no, I already did that. That's what that was. That last page. Okay, so now we can camp. So hold on, it's over here. Alrighty, camping. So every night, your character gets an opportunity to camp, rest, recuperate, all of that stuff. Man, these are just not very readable, and I apologize for that. Let's see, do I have one that I can read out loud to y'all? No, I guess not. Okay. I know that there's a few actions, so I guess we'll just go through our list here. But you get 2 camp actions. And so we'll start with the bottom here. You can treat your wounds. So this is useful for if you are severely injured and you really need to bandage some injuries. You can gather food, which allows you to gain more rations. Rations are helpful because you need to eat one every time that you camp. Otherwise, the next day you start with some strain. With that last one, if I remember, it did give us a ration, so we gained the ration and then ate it for the night, so that's where I will leave it at. And then over here is additional ration costs in case it costs more. So there's those. We can raise a cup, drown your sorrows, which removes sorrow, or I can gain hero points. Hero points are like the experience and currency system of this game. You need it to level up as well as buy things. Like there will be different, not necessarily buying things, but like, so as you play through the game, you'll run into some instances where it'll ask you to spend hero points to obtain a certain result, or if you spend this much hero points, you can do this action. So they're useful for that too, so they can influence the story. So I always recommend keeping a handful of points on hand. Don't spend them all at once. Build up a supply when you're like, I'm doing pretty good. I'm pretty ahead of myself. Let's do some leveling up. But raising a cup lets you remove your sorrow, which sorrow and brood can affect a couple of different things, but they help. For every sorrow that you have, you gain benefits to your wisdom saves. And same with brood. Brood affects your strength, so the more brood you have, the stronger you are. But you gain a couple of negatives as those stats get higher. So it's kind of a fine balancing act. You can do a ritual burn, which is useful for as you play through the game, you gain these cards in your battle deck. And they could be allies, abilities, and even Wyvern ability cards. As you play, you gain more of these, and the maximum that you can have in your battle deck is 30. So you'll have to spend some nights to remove cards from your deck so you can add them. But you can only do one action per camp, per night. So like of each action. So like you can't ritual burn to lose a card and then ritual burn again to gain another card in the same night. So you would have to burn one card or earn the card. Burn or earn. Right now, me being early on, I don't need to worry about that because the more cards, the merrier, kind of, until I find a good flow. And then I'm like, oh, you know what? I don't like those cards. Let's get rid of them. But you do need to have at least 12 cards minimum. Okay, next one. Well rested. You can spend your entire night doing nothing but resting. And this allows you to heal significantly. Now, I mean, treating your wounds wherever it was. I think treating your wounds is one of those where it is, if you're successful, you heal a lot, and it helps with your injury. But otherwise, it's basically this is balanced, and this is high risk, high reward. I missed this earlier, but this is for your brooding. You fall into dark reflection, and I wasn't sure where to put it. I just threw it with the spears because I figured, okay, you're thinking of war, you're thinking of your weapons, you're probably sharpening your weapons as you're thinking, and that's why you're like, I'm brooding. Kill some dragons. Sorry, not dragons. Wyverns. Wyverns. Oh, yeah, that's another addendum. I say wyverns. I spent a good 15 years saying wyvern, and no one ever corrected me until like the last 3 or 4 years when Monster Hunter started to become a little bit more popular in the U.S. And then people are like, "Nope, that's how you're supposed to pronounce it." I'm like, dude, why are people, masters of this word? I don't know. Anyways, moving on to the next thing. Take care of mount. Your mount recovers and prepares. Gain +1 movement point on your next travel. Useful if you know you've got a slog to get through. Meditation. You spend time in quiet focus. Spend hero points to upgrade an attribute or Wyvern Hunter level. Wyvern. And then there is stargazing. Reflect on fate under the stars. Remove 1 brood point or gain a hero point. There's one last one, which is over here, which is going to be like your ability to change or upgrade your powers, which, because I don't have it unlocked, I didn't put it there because I don't have any powers. So we'll just leave that alone. And I think I've pretty much covered all the basics. So let us see what I can do. I have no brood, I have no strain. I am going to probably need to gather some rations. And this will be perfect to be able to demonstrate the saves. So we're going to gather some food, which means I have to make a wisdom save. So wisdom saves are the triquetra, which is like a little triangle that has barbs on it, kind of. Not really. It's not barbs. They're just pointy. Anyways, so wisdom save. I have 2 points in my wisdom, so that means that I can draw 1 extra card. So here's my 1 for my base save, and 2 for my wisdom. I got the Wheel of Tyrannus, which is the symbol for strength. If you can even see that, there we go. And I got Awen. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. I think it's upside down too. Nope, it's right side up. Okay, so the Awen is courage. Neither of those are wisdom, so I failed that save. So on failure, gain 1 ration. I could add 1 if I were on a forest hex, which we are not. So I only gain 1 ration, putting me at 6. And I guess I'm just going to do what I like to do. Stargazing. So that I can gain the hero point. Putting me up to 5. Okay. I've done a few things, and I kind of forgot to go back over the quest tracker. But since we're at a good stopping point where I can do 2 sheet edits before I switch back to the map, that works for me. So let's talk about the quest tracker. So as you can see, I've had some of our previous encounters here. And I'm sorry the alignment's so off on this, and I'm not sure how to fix that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here we are. This one was Village Rosehall. Oh, I have to do it like this. This tabletop simulator sometimes The amount of jumping back and forth on the different settings, it's just like, why isn't it simple? No, they have to make it complex because it's a pretty massive undertaking. Programming this entire game so far has been an undertaking. I have probably spent more than triple the time, quadruple the time programming than I spent playing it. I swear I spent 3 whole days, 3 10-hour days programming the first like 20 quests, and then I spent another 2 4 6 hours across 3 days adding stuff, and then an hour this today, so 7 hours. So yeah, like 4 days that I've put into this game, and I've probably played it for about 6 hours so far. Oh man. But yeah, so let's go ahead and change this text. That's what I'm looking for. Village Rosehall. Save. And then I'm gonna mark that with a dash instead of a dot. I just put the dot on there because otherwise, if I don't put anything, the box disappears unless I use a very specific selection tool to find it again. So I just put the dot there so it holds it. I'm not going to worry about changing all of these, but anyways, once you first find the quest, you'll mark it. You'll mark your what hex you found it on, and then you'll also mark that it's active. This one was 9. And so it was active. I would continue with it until we reach the conclusion, wherever that may be. So um, there are some instances where you can make a decision that blocks you from the quest. So you'd have to mark it either abandoned or failed, depending. And then there are some instances where the the game will ask you, choice A or choice B, and choice B may be like, oh, you don't want to help them, or you're turning your back and you're doing this instead. And so then they'll tell you, well, you gotta mark it pending until you come back to this hex, and then otherwise you mark it completed. So like in this instance, I had this quest. I believe this is for Town of Strivelin, but I think it's lined up with Village of Rannoch or Renosh, however that's pronounced. Because I have a feeling it's for Town of Strivelin because I failed it. I did not make the save, and so I did not get any of the results where I sided with either of the towns, the clansmen. So, yeah, I marked it as failed and moved on. So in this case, or maybe it was the other one. I don't remember. All right. Well, we did complete the village Rosehall. So then this one was going to be X. And then the reward. Or was it like +1 strain? I'm not really sure. Let's go back to it. That's not the button I'm looking for. Oh, it was gain a save token and a strain point. Token. Boop. Awesome. Okay, and now we go to our character sheet. I keep forgetting I gotta update this one too. Okay. Nope, that's right. Okay. And then the only thing I need to change. Nope, that needs to be capitalized, or my OCD, CDO, however you want to order it, will bother me. Okay, so I've updated my character sheet. So let's talk about some of it, since I have it open in front of us. A majority of these choices here, or all these listed here, or at least this top section, these are all character creation. I rolled for these, or drew out of the Fate deck to determine some of these elements. So these will come into play, as you progress through the game. Otherwise, you don't. I mean, your profession stays the same, but your weapon, shield, and armor, there's stuff you find as you progress through the game. I've got the first basic sword, and I have not found any other additional weapons, so that stays the same for the most part. The only things that kind of change are your hero points, fury points, movement points, health, and your stats here. So, it's not. This game is not like Dungeons and Dragons, where it's very crunch heavy. There is some mechanics, but a lot of it's pretty simplified and fast paced to play. So these stats that are represented here, you add them together for different things here or there. Like the main ones are strength. Oh, hold on, I gotta look at those again. But certain combinations affect certain things. So, like to determine your fury points, which is your combat pool, your combat stamina. If this were Dark Souls, it's your stamina bar. How many actions you can take before you've got to like back off and rest. So that is your fortitude and stamina put together. Where is? Where's the other cheat sheet? Over here. This doesn't have the rules that I'm looking for. I do believe it is also stamina and fortitude that determine your movement points as well as your health. And I guess that's about it for the basics on stats. Let's go ahead, preload that, and there we go. And now that we've visited this town, oops, that's the wrong button. We gotta right click it to change it. Where are we? There we go. So we gotta mark it red. I like to, as I go and progress through the map so that it can kind of help visually with progress, mark all the locations we land at. Why did this not change? There we go. That way it feels a little bit like Elden Ring. You can kind of see like the spots that we mark on the map. But of course, I need to make sure I put the fog of war back. It's the only problem with using this tabletop simulator. There's a way to set this up so that I can GM and display as a player. But it's too graphic or resource intensive on my laptop. I tried to do that last week since I couldn't stream. I tried to see if I can figure that out, and I'm like, oh wait, no, this is a little too graphically, or like I said, too resource intensive. It wouldn't. It was laggy, slow, just a visual mess. So to do it this way where I display everything as the game master, which sometimes means when I'm switching around screens, things get revealed. But it's perfectly fine. This game was never intended for the player to have that fog of war. I just like it because it helps make the game world feel more alive, a little bit more like into the unknown. Like, it makes it feel more like a fantasy, more adventurous. The only thing though is, as you can see, I've clearly been to other parts of this map, but the symbols are not displaying. Oh, that one's displaying, so I need to get rid of that one. Anyways, the intention here is that I don't want to necessarily have a bunch of information thrown on the map. Um, Only as we come back to it, like, oh yeah, we've been here before, maybe. Because what I'm worried about is that we'll have all these symbols everywhere that we've seen, and it'll feel cluttered. The only thing I will mark on the maps will be like the warping teleport spots, because there are a couple of them, and that's where we're about to go next. So, let's see. Now I go back to my quest tracker, so I can change this officially to day number 8. Alrighty, let us change the soundtrack a little, just to kind of add a little bit of a change. Let us move. Alrighty. I'm just going to move one space so I can get to the standing stone. And that gives me 3 because I only, what? I'm mathing wrong here with my fingers. I had 4 points, and now I have 3. So that'll allow me to do a couple of different actions here. So let's take a look. Every time you reach a standing stone, you can connect and invoke the ancient powers of deities linked to nature. If successful, you will earn an arcane power that can be used in combat. Each standing stone has a unique quest to attain these arcane powers. Alright, so I can either... Okay, wait, foraging. The lands around the stone is sacred, so foraging is forbidden. So that means when I camp here tonight, I cannot gather more rations. My first visit, I could attempt to invoke the gods to earn a permanent arcane power. Future visits uses a safe camp or teleportation, or if I slay the linked legendary monster, I can unlock the deity's blessing. I just come visit, and if I've defeated the monster, I come visit again to claim the power. Stone invoked as complete. Okay. So, I think I'm going to do this. Attempt to invoke the gods. That's kind of weird. I'm just going to go ahead and make the save here. So, let's see. Draw a fate card. Alrighty, so let's do this. Draw a fate card. I drew Alm. And so Niknavin. Slay the legendary Wolver. I can gain these powers. Fate, Rend, Hex, and Curse. Sorry, I'm just reading and making sure I got all of this. Okay. So the legendary hunts. There's a significant amount of challenge to these. So I don't know if I will be ready for this. But I am going to mark it on my quest. Slay legendary wolver. Okay. So that's all I'm going to be able to do for now. But I will be able to do some camp actions. So, oh. Where's my camp? Right here. Okay. Bye-bye, pencil. Did I... Does this cost anything? I don't need to erase anything. 3 points. 3 camp actions. So I'm going to raise a cup to gain a hero point. Stargaze to gain another point. And I feel like we're going to have to travel a good bit. So let's take care of our mount so we can gain the movement point. So that's 2 hero points from drinking some mead and looking at the stars. And then we petted our pony so much that he's, he got a little too excited and he's ready for tomorrow. Okay, so let's do this. 2 points. That puts me at 7 hero points. So let's go ahead and change that on my character sheet. Where'd it go? And there we go. Okay, so now we're back here. And now that means we have... that's right, I gotta do this. Globally visible, because that makes it show up on the map. Hey, why did you not change? It does not want to change. There we go. And while we're at it, because I know this will bug me. Remove. Okay. Alrighty. So, 5 movement points. I kind of want to check this part of the map out before I move too far away, just so I can kind of clear it out. So let's see, 1. I'm gonna move at least 2. That's 2 there. 3. 4. Oh, there's a quest over here. How do I want to do this? I think I am going to go ahead and move forward. Yeah, because I think I can't really do anything unless I have to. Okay. So, quest number 7. Red Tail. The winding path brings you close to the edge of the farm. You see 3 men pacing, apparently searching for someone or something. One holds a dagger in his trembling hand. Another has a stick in both hands, and the third has a pitchfork. As you walk past, one of the men asks, "Have you seen a red fox flaring around the area?" Huh? What has it done? "A dastardly red fox has been coming into our fields and helping itself from the crops. We need all we can get because harsh times are upon us. We cannot allow some mischievous little critter to take its pick. Well, if you find this fox, what are your intentions? When we catch it, we're going to skin it and hang its fur from the hearth. That sounds a little violent there, don't you think? I mean, it's just a little critter, right? Doesn't mean no harm. He's just trying to eat, just like most of us. Let me pause and backtrack a little. I do apologize. I'm sure as y'all saw, once I hopped on this page, there were some boxes that said reveal. I clicked on them, and then nothing happened. This is one of those, as a GM to a player, it's hidden from the player, but not from me. So if I were in player mode, I would be able to see those, or not see them until I click reveal. But as a GM, it's the only way I can do this, so I can display this with the technology that I have. Maybe one day I'll have a better setup and be able to do this correctly. But for now, this works. Okay, well, a rustle from nearby catches your attention. Hunted. You spot a red tail sticking up behind a small green shrub behind the three men. The men resume their hunt for the fox, going in different directions and searching behind stones, trees, and a nearby stream. The fox reveals itself and tilts its head, sensing a kinship with you. It steps slowly forward, placing a paw on your boot and caressing its nose against your leg. You crouch down next to it, and it stays. Behind you, you hear the sounds of boots crunching in the grass. There you are! One of the men screams. Hand it over! We'll skin it right here! Snickers another man. The men will not go willingly. Oh shoot, we got a choice to make, guys. Are we gonna back away and give them some food so they can leave us alone? Or are we gonna use violence against them? Or maybe we intimidate them. They might get scared. I forgot to eat some rations, so I'm gonna make sure that I eat my daily ration. Or at least my nightly ration, I should say. So I'm at 5 rations. So if I give them 5 rations, I'd have no food. I'd be starving tomorrow. So I don't want to give them food because I don't have access. So my only other choice is to use violence against them or intimidation. I have to make a courage save. I've got 1 courage, so that means I can only draw 2 cards. But I do have a save token. And it would be pretty cool to be able to use the save token. Show you guys what it's like. So, let's go ahead and do that. Let's go with intimidation. So, 1 for the base, 2 for courage. And let's see what fate has in store for us. Awen, that's not it. The Dara not. So this is. Oh my gosh, what is it called? The Triskelion. Triskelion? Ah, the glare. Oh, that's backwards. Not what I'm looking for. At the Dara knot. Also not what I'm looking for. So boo-hoo. That failed. And I'm going to use my save token. So now I get to redo my save. So you don't get to draw from what's left. You have to redo the entire save. But it's okay. It's not that big a deal. We just kind of shuffle and then move on, right? Try again. Okay. 1, 2. Oh, wait. I'm looking for A1. A1, right here, I think. Hold on, I need a refresher on this. A1, courage. I made my courage save. So, that means I get to read the success. Intimidation. Make a courage save. The fox huddles at your feet. Gain red fox ally and gain 2 hero points. I guess that means that they left us alone. Oh, it's right over here. So now I gained the Fox ally, the Red Fox. Clever Pounce applies -1 defense to an enemy this round. If that enemy takes damage this turn, they also suffer 1 extra damage. So now I get to add him to my deck. And I get to mark unlocked cards. So let's see, where are you at? I guess I don't have an unlocked card. Oh, that's right, it's the inventory. Where is it? There's really not a whole lot of sheets to it. It looks like a lot, but I have a bunch of extra stuff like the quest tracker. I mean, it's helpful, but it's not a big, huge thing. It's mainly just, there's only like 3 sheets that have a lot of information, which is going to be your inventory, your character sheet, and then you also have the Crag Keep ledger, which tracks your home base stats. But in this case, I'm just going to put Red Fox. And then come back over here. Where is... Just minimize that real quick. And come to my inventory right over here. Oh. As you can see, I already have 1 ally, and here's my next ally. Oh. That's right. Gotta do it this way. Or maybe not. Ta-da! Okay. We are ready. Let us come back to the Highlands map. Select my guy. And finish this. So hold on, let's see. Gain Red Fox ally, gain 2 hero points. That was something I forgot to do before switching back to this map. Alright, so I'm at 9 hero points. Let's just come back to this because I don't want to lose it. Sorry, upkeep time, just to make sure I'm up to date. It is a lot of work having to keep up with 2 character sheets. Like, I forget so many things, so I apologize, because it's like doubling the work, and Braid's just like, but we did this already. Yes, we did it, but now we're doing it again. Okay, I think I'm caught up. Back to this. Back to this. Oh, wait, no. And as you can see, I put a little paw print. So, like, what I did was I made all of the non-narrative hexes of fire, kind of like Elden Ring, the bond, or Dark Souls bonfire, Sight of Grace, and then all of the narratives. I tried to give them a little bit of personality and give them a symbol that kind of matched. Man, these really don't like to change. There we go. Alright, back to this quest. Alright, there's no further text. Actually, it's a lowland. Okay, so we are in the lowlands. How many spaces was that? 4, 5? I think it was 5. I think I only have. I don't have any. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that was about 5. So I don't have anything that I can do on the hex sections except for the basic. There it is. Nope, that's not it. Sorry, I'm trying to find my journals here, the ones that have the info that I need, but there's just so many little things that I've added, and I forgot I had them open. All of them. Okay, that's a lowland hex. All I can do is set up camp in the fields or beside a stream. The lowlands are a place where nature thrives. Water springs flow across expansive meadows and fields. It is where crops are cultivated and is the habitat of tame wildlife. However, with the rise of the storm, more threats loom over this peaceful landscape. So now we go back to our camp screen. Oh, that's over here. Back to 2 actions. Definitely want to gather some food because, like, that's the thing that goes very quickly in this game. Didn't I succeed at that earlier? No, that was a red box, I think. I don't remember. It's okay. We'll just accept where we're at right now. 1 for wisdom, 1 for base. Nope, I got the Triskelion and the Dara not. So I only gain 1 ration. Put me back at 6. And then I have 1 more point. I guess I will go ahead and take care of my pony because I feel like I'm going to need some more stamina to cross. No, actually, I'm not. The next one is not too far. We'll just stargaze and gain a hero point to put me at 10. And that is the end of the night. So now we are at what, day 9? Day 9. I've been keeping track of how many days it takes because I figured it'd be kind of cool to see how long it took me to get from Humble Hero to Slayer of Wyverns. You know, it'd be kind of nice to track that progress. Where are we at time-wise? 9 o'clock. Okay, I still got about 40 minutes. Okay. So, back to the map. And... okay. 1, 2... 5. It's the next day. And now we are at the narrative 6, Serpent's Road. Monk's Oath. Prerequisite. Can only be carried out once Crag Keep has been visited for the first time. Once you visited Crag Keep, go to this. Unfortunately, that means I have to mark this pending. So this is an excellent example to do that. So this is 6, and this is Serpent Scroll Monk's Oath. And that one is going to be, hold on, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 12, 8, 9, Scary Hug, Tail, which is completed. Box. And then this one is not active, it is pending. Okay. Oh, that's right. You know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mark these like pending quests. I will mark them so that I'm aware that I need to come back to this. I think it'll be a lot easier than if I mark them red. I feel like red is like, oh, I've been here and I've completed it. Okay, sadly I was not able to complete it. This is a ruins action, I believe. Hold on, let me just double check. No, I think it was a town. Where is the other one? Ruins? No. I guess it is a town hex. It doesn't look like any of these, but I'm not sure. I guess it kind of looks like that one, but it's backwards. Weird. Okay. So I made it here using 2 stamina points. Give me 2 or movement points. So I have 2 more. So I could buy food and water, visit a doctor, visit a surgeon, train at a guild, or trade loot. Oh, that sounds useful. That's what we're gonna do. This is where I was like, it's good to save your hero points. So I'm gonna use 4 hero points. Bring me down to 6 to upgrade one of my cards. So let me get my upgrade sheet. There we go. Okay, so let's see. I have upgraded Dirk already. I swear I've upgraded other things. Probably not. Unlock content. Didn't even mark it on here. That's the one. Okay. Alright, I want to get a little physical here. I'm going to level up Punch, because I feel like that's going to be helpful. I needed a little bit more damage options, because, well, I guess I misunderstood the rules. I thought you could only use your weapon once per combat. Didn't realize that you could use it repeatedly, and so I struggled with some of the earlier combat, because I'm just like, man, I'm not getting any attack options. Like, everything I do is just not working. Thankfully, I was able to get a couple more combat options, and I've since upgraded some of the ones that I do have, so they'll at least have a little more impact, and I don't have to feel like I'm nickel and diming myself out of attacks. But that was that upgrade. And now I can perform some camp actions. So let's go to camp. So 2 actions. Actually, hold on. Rest. Recover 1 health and 1 strain point. I'm at full health, full strain, so we're good there. So I guess we can just... You know what? I'm going to actually take care of my horsey this time around because I want to travel across the map. We've got a good distance to cover. And then I guess we'll do some more stargazing because I really like having more hero points. We had 7. Okay. Let's go ahead and update our sheets here. So, hold on. Back to my quest tracker. Oh, we have a few quests that I need to add. I actually don't have enough room for them. So after that one was Legendary Hunt Wolver. And for this, I'm going to mark it active because it is... We have to find it. There's a couple of spots where the legendary hunts take place, but we won't know until we get to them, and I'd rather keep those kind of a surprise for them. So, put that there. And then this one was Red Tail. And that one was 7. And this one we took to completion. Okay. What did it say? And HP stands for hero points, not hit points, like most of the games, since we have health. There we go. Okay, so I cannot do anything further on that sheet until I add more boxes, and I'm not going to slow down the game session by adding boxes. Let's just make sure we are up to date. This goes down to 4. We're at 6. This goes down to 7. Whoops, that's the wrong button. I think that's everything we need. Yeah, as far as I can recall or remember. And I don't see anything visually that says... Oh wait, I need to go to highlights back. Okay. So we let our pony rest up, and so now we can cross some distances. I think I'm gonna travel here. 1, 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4. One. Oh, oops. One. Oh, it's gonna let me. One, two. Oh, no, no. I want to go. What's my map looking like? Okay. Back over here. And I've already been here, but it's the only other junction that I can reach. The mystical forests of the highlands hold many secrets and are considered to be the gateway to the world of the fairies. It is in these places that witches, along with other creatures, coexist. Be careful when going through a forest, and never forget to look behind. You never know who or what may be watching you. So I do have one extra hex action point that I can use, right? Because I only traveled 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Yeah, there really isn't good actions unless I use 2 points. Well, I feel like I need to look for some plants. I mean, rations would be more helpful. Lose 1 movement point. Well, we're going to look for beneficial herbs, either medicinal or mystical. So I need a wisdom save. Ketra. So it's again the little pointy triangle, not the round triangle thing. That's the Spirus. That's the Triskelion. So wisdom. 1 for the base, and 1 for my combined score of 2 in my wisdom. Aha! Triketra. Got it. Card gets. And that means I draw from the Forest Herbs table, which is down here. Oh, you know what? None of these bonuses are even any helpful to me. Just the rations or hero points, because everything else is just not going to apply anything. Well, the auto succeed is a wisdom save will be helpful next time. Oh well, let's see what I got. Triskelion restores 2 rations immediately. So that puts me at 7 rations. Okay. So that's it for that. And then now we can go to our camp phase. The 2 actions. I'm going to Stargaze again for the hero point. Putting me at 8. We're doing good on the rations. Let's go ahead. Actually, you know what? I want to do a bit of an encounter the next one. I'm just going to drink some more. Or actually, hold on. What is brew? I know what brew is. Sure, we'll brood. We'll eat the ration. bringing us down to 6. Gain 1 brood and gain 1 hero point. And so what brood does, brood gives you bonuses to your strength saves. And they're pretty helpful. Furious Grief boosts combat power but may lead to violence. This is not the resource page or reference page that I was looking for. Here we go. Brood effects. You gain brood when you suffer an injury, lose in combat, or fail a courage save. Oh, I keep forgetting about that. Every 2 brood, I add 1 to my strength saves. At 4 brood, I add 1 to my damage. At 6 brood, I gain 1 strain and disadvantage on saves. Okay. So maybe having 2 brood on hand at all times is a good thing to have. Okay. All right, so we're going to go to this camp right here. So now I should have plenty of abilities. Oh, damn. That's right, I've only got 2 this time. Okay, infiltrate the camp to destroy food and equipment stores. Draw from the Army Camp Fate table, resolve sabotage or combat outcomes. Okay. So let's read the description of the Army Camp hexes. I feel like I need to do this more. Give a little bit more narrative depth to the world at large. The Kingdom of Tir Naring has sent several detachments into the Umbral Highlands. Concerned at the rise of wyverns and other monsters, they are a neighboring realm and know too well that if the threat is not dealt with, they too shall be attacked. Yet the clans understand that an incursion by the Kingdom of the Kings can only mean one thing: to once again attempt to bring the Umbral Highlands under their control. Okay, so let us sabotage. Alrighty. Army Camp Sabotage table. I've got Awen. You're surrounded! Combat with 1 axe wielding knight and 2 men at arms. So here we go. Let's put on some combat music. Do we have combat music? Not quite. I mean, this is probably the closest that I've got. It's decent. There's my monster. Oh, nice. Okay, Knights of Tyr. And then what was it? 1 axe wielding knight and 2 men at arms. Alrighty, here we go for some combat. So we're fighting the Knights of Tir Nari. And this is where they are. Defenders of the lands of kings are knights who have the honor of being anointed by King Edwin IV. They form the Legion of Elite Combatants, who with dexterity and skill dominate the battlefield. They have been sent to the Umbral Highlands to capture key locations under the guise of the threat of the Wyverns. King Edwin IV believes this is his chance to take hold of his roguish northern neighbor. The knights are highly disciplined and motivated to achieve the goals set out by their king. Fully armored, they are accompanied by a squire that tends to their needs in and outside battle. Their shield and cloth are adorned with a lion, a powerful symbol representing the land of kings. Their tactics are relentless and involve fearsome violence. Their infamous actions and skilled fighting have earned them a formidable reputation within the Highlands. They command presence in combat with either a longsword and shield or battle axe. Trained to deliver precise blows to their targets, their fighting style of the Highlander. Hold on. Their fighting style is a far cry from the brutal and barbaric style of the Highlander clans. They rely on pure strength and fury to attack. Knights, on the other hand, are taught to be defensive and prepare for the right strike to deal a fatal blow to their opponent. I will read the second half of this for another time. Let's get to combat. So we have one axe knight and 2 men at arms. So combat proceeds like this. So every round consists of 2 steps. Your turn and the enemy's turn. At the beginning of round, I say 2 steps. I mean, like there's more, but I mean, like there's basically 2 halves of each round. You have your turn and the enemy's turn. The very first thing to do is to determine initiative. So you will draw a card for yourself and one for the enemies, and you'll compare the initiative order, which goes like this. Triskelion is position 1. Wheel of Tyrannus is position 2. Awen is position 3. Triketra is position 4. Daranot is position 5. And Elm is position 6. So in this instance, I drew Triketra, which is position 4. So there's Triketra. And my opponents, the monsters, drew Awen, which is position 3. So that means the enemies would go first. Now the enemies can activate in whatever order you deem it that you feel acceptable. So some things to keep in mind. Make sure you shuffle and then you draw. Your fury points determine your starting hands, as well as, of course, your fury pool. So in this instance, I have 4 fury points, which means I can draw 4 cards, and I have 4 stamina points. There's a couple other things to keep in mind. So I have both Redemption and Father's Dirk. So Redemption means during the first round, I gain 1 fury point. So that means I get to draw 5, and I have a pool of 5 to utilize. Also in the first round, I deal 1 extra damage. Now, the unfortunate thing is I am fighting against knights, and one of my biggest fears when I apparently was growing up, I got, I guess, got harassed by a knight. Or maybe I did something I wasn't supposed to. I stole some candy, and he, ripped me a new one and just kind of messed with me ever since. So anyways, I get -1 defense to every attack. So that's one thing to keep in mind. I'm thankful I'm at full health. This combat's probably going to be brutal against 3 guys. So we'll see how this goes. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 fury plus 1 start of battle. And let's see. I have rage, momentum, second wind, punch, and arcane power. My punch is upgraded, so I'm going to flip it around. And I do apologize. I have tried to get these cards programmed into the game, and I have them programmed, but the way that they're displayed is way too tiny. I set them up to be implemented into the card game, or the card mechanics of this game, or the tabletop simulator. But it just displays them so tinily, and it doesn't give me much info on it. Like, you can't zoom in or nothing. So I'm probably going to add them as journal notes, and that way it'll make them a little slightly larger. So I apologize, I don't have a way of showing you guys all the text, so I will read them out loud as I use them. So let us begin with the monsters. So they got to go first, and now that we've determined that they go first this round, they're going to draw a fate card to determine what their activation looks like. So, and again, this is kind of where it may seem confusing because I drew a fate card to determine their initiative, and now I'm drawing another fate card to determine their activation, which kind of is like, what? Initiative and activation, isn't that the same thing? Not quite. Initiative in this game determines, again, the order of you versus them. Who goes first? Since we established they're going first in initiative, that means they, as a group, all attack before I even get to retaliate. I will be able to use some of my cards if they allow me to counter, but some of them you have to play beforehand, so I may not be able to defend myself very well. We'll see. Otherwise, now we determine their activation, which is what they trigger when they attack. So I gained Aelm, which means now I'm going to look at my monster sheet here. And if you see, they have a couple of different stats to keep in mind. So these symbols are what I'm looking for. The symbols tell you how they activate. So in this case, I got Aelm, the plus sign. So I'm looking for a plus sign here. And I see Awen and Wheel of Tyrannus, not Elm. So they don't do any of their specials, which means that they just do a basic attack. So I'm not too worried. I'm going to see what the Axonite does first before I start doing some things. So here they have 1, 2, and 3. So here, and then they have Elm, Axe of War, which deals 2 damage, and if the hero's at full health, it ignores defense. Woof, that's gonna hurt. So, 2 damage with no defense. Or 3 damage. Gosh, they do some... The Man-at-Arms do some nasty damage. Okay, so I'm just reading the rules here. Or not rules, but their stats. Special traits. Formation of hero deals 5+ damage in 1 hit. Take 1 damage in return. Loot drop. Battlefield Halberd. Okay. It doesn't really matter what order that they activate, but I am going to see if I have anything that might let me. So, tactic. Oh, wait, I have these upside down. And none of these are going to do much good for me. So, I have no way to defend against them, so I'm just taking the full blow of 3 attacks. So, Axe Knight is going to deal 2 damage to me. So, 2 damage. Man-at-Arms 1 is going to deal 3 damage. I don't have a shield. So, that's going to be 2 plus 3 plus another 3. Yeesh, that's half my health bar right there, guys. What? I am not prepared for this. I was kind of hoping I was going to go first and be able to, like, waylay into them. Okay. So they dealt some nasty damage. So let's see what I can do here. Let's see. Defense 1. Defense 2. Dang, these guys have a lot. I think I want to try to go for one of the Man-at-Arms. They look like they're a little easier to defeat. Let's go with Second Wind, which recovers 2 health, bringing me back up to 10. That's very important to heal. And if I am damaged, I can remove a strain, which I don't have, but it's nice to know that if they do any effects that give me strain, which I think I can, I think they can, I don't want to take that necessarily. Okay. So that costed me, second wind costed me 2 fury points. So now I have 3. Be very careful and mindful of how I proceed with this. Points. Okay. I know my actions here. I'm going to use... Actually, that's not going to help me. I'll save that for the next one. This is actually perfect. So I'm going to use my punch, which deals 2 damage, and if target has defense, it reduces it by 1 instead. And the great thing is when you play your cards, you can play them like combos. So that's the great thing. So I've reduced this defense by 1. Actually, hold on. No, that's perfect. Then I'm going to play Rage, which if I have any Brood, I gain 2 strength on my next attack. So that means that I gain, let's see, 2 damage extra. So yeah, so that's 2 damage. 2, 4, 7, right? 2, 4, 7. I'm not below half health, but that would have been nice. 7. And then, so that's 2. Sorry, I got to keep track of my strategy here. I'm playing all of these cards. So, I'm using my punch for 0, which deals 2 damage and reduces it by 1. So that means that they go to 0 defense, and I deal 2 damage, plus Rage, which costs 1 Fury point. I guess let me go over my Fury point costs. I have 3 points left because I used Second Wind earlier. That's 1, 2, 3. So that uses all my points. So I have no more actions after this. And you cannot save your Fury points to the next round, so it's best to use them all if you can. Save only a few if you have some cards that can be used defensively. But in this case, I don't quite have as many defensive options. So yeah, going back to 2 damage minus 1 defense plus 2 strength, which is 2 damage. So that's 4 damage plus 3 from my sword, which is 7. And then I draw another card from my battle deck, and if it's an attack, I get to play it immediately, which it is not, so I'm not worried about it. I'll just put it over here, but that's okay. 7 damage is a nasty amount of damage against this guy, although I wish he would have died. Seven damage. Okay. I didn't gain any further strain, so this goes away to my discard pile. Start of the next round, and I draw up to 4. 1, 2. Ooh, I got 2 allies. Oh, shoot, I forgot. My sword comes back. Okay. Oh my goodness. My card's up. So now we're at the start of round 2. We get to do initiative again to determine initiative order, and then I'll draw once more to determine activation. So my card, enemy card. I'm Wheel of Tyrannus, which is pretty good. That's position 2. Oh, man, I just can't get a break. I'm likely going to die if I mean, we'll see. We'll see how this goes. I was hoping I could get in before kill one guy. You know, the next round would be a little bit of a slog, but we'll see. We'll see how this goes. And oh, where did it go? Right here. Oh gosh, it's this guy again, Triquetra. I need to learn how to point that at the right spot. Okay, I'll just keep that there for reference. Nothing there. Triquetra here. Faint. Hero must burn one utility card or suffer -1 damage on their next attack. Okay, that's bearable. He does nothing. And these guys deal 3 damage. Which, if I have a defensive card, I can play. I'm going to play Dash to avoid it. So I avoided 1 attack, and that leaves me at 3 damage. Or yeah, I take 3 damage from one of them, so that puts me at 7 health. I gain a strain. I should be okay. It's not going to affect me yet. Oh, and I dodged, so it actually healed me. So I'm actually at 8 from taking 3 from one of the man-at-arms and then dodging the other one. So, whew, that's lucky. But that used up 2 of my fury points, so I only have 2 more left. Okay. And I have to keep in mind on my action here that I was not able to burn a utility card. Burn means discard. It's not permanent, but when you burn in combat, it's gone the remainder of combat. So you cannot burn it. You can only burn 1 card. Well, so you could burn multiple cards if the game's combat dictates you should burn. But you are allowed to burn a card, 1 card yourself, personally, once per combat. So I'm going to have to suffer -1 damage on my next attack. Which kind of is, I'm just going to go with the sword combo here. Which, if I'm below half my health, which I am at half health, I gain +1 damage. So I don't know if that necessarily counts, but I will just to kind of give me a slight bit of edge. I don't want to make it too easy, but I do need a little bit of a buffer here, or I may not make it. Yeah, I want to seem a little more heroic and survive at least close to the end of combat if I can. So my next thing is going to have to be Red Fox. Clever Pounce. Apply -1 defense to an enemy this round. If that enemy takes damage this turn, they also suffer 1 extra damage. I'm just going to use it to kill the one man-at-arms that had like 3 health left over. So he is dead. Because he only has 10 health. That's good for me to discard. Those go there. End of the round. I feel like I can actually do this. I should be able to survive. I had no idea how this was going to go when I went into combat. I know that these knights are pretty tough, especially with me having the... Oh, shoot, I take extra. I forgot to account for that. So I actually have -3 from earlier. And then -1, so 4. Yeesh! I can only take 1 more hit from the looks of it. Wheel of Tyrannus against Triquetra. So I go first this time. Yay! Not even going to worry about drawing their activation just yet. 2 more. Man, this is pretty intense. Man, there really is just not any good options. Alright, let's play Duff, because I feel like I need that buffer. Duff has Ancient Voice. I can either cancel the next enemy special ability, or use the Ballad of Strength, which gives me +1 attack this round. I'm going to go ahead and draw it so I can see Triskelion. No activations here. No activations there. So I can give myself... Is the +1 even worth it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So here's how my combat's gonna go. This is kind of blech. But brace myself, which costs 1 fury point, and I have 4, bringing me down to 3. Brace yourself gives me +1 defense, and if I block all damage this round, I recover 1 health. Duff again gives me either +1 strength or cancels a special ability, since they don't have any specials going on at this moment. They don't have anything, right? Special trades. No point. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Actually, at 2 health. I put myself in a corner here. I don't think I'm gonna win. I guess we won't use Duff. Counter instead. If I'm hit this round, I deal 2 damage back to the attacker. And if no one deals any damage to me, I remove 1 strain. Which, I mean, they're gonna have to deal some damages. Let's face it, I'm kind of SOL. Okay. Well, here we go. Fate's not kind to me today. I deal 4 damage to the man-at-arms because I really can't do anything else, which means he only takes 3 damage because he's got 1 defense. I can't ignore it this time around. So he's got 7 health. But with that being said, I have +1 defense, which is negated by my -1 defense. And that means I take 3 damage, bringing me down to 0 health. And ouchies, I've been defeated. Oh my goodness. What is it good? Oh shoot. I forget how this works. It doesn't. It's not like when I. Oh, boo-hoo. Come on. When you are defeated, you have to flee. And I will go through the flee process here in a bit. I just need to come back there. And I technically did not cross that, so... Okay. So I actually have not really read into the defeat stuff. I mean, I did, but like, I was like, okay, well, when I cross that bridge, I'll get back to it. And, go over the rules then. So this will be a learning process. Alright, so I lost, so I gain a brood, which puts me at 2 brood and plus 2 strength. Or I guess it's plus 1 strength. Temporarily mark it there. On the side. Oh my gosh, these cards are just slipping out of my hands. Okay. Bear with me, guys. Yeah, but even in the chat, I didn't even, I have not been paying attention. Fading back. Ugh, I hate these people that just hop in and just try to market stuff. Do you really think I'm going to fall for that? Rules and mechanics. Okay, so it would be health and fleeing. Okay, so here we go. It's over. Okay. If your health is reduced to 0, your hero is defeated in that encounter and must flee the battle. You automatically flee to an adjacent hex of your choice. I'm just going backwards because I feel like that's the most appropriate thing to do. You may not gain any hero points for this encounter. You must determine an injury. See the injuries section. And I must mark 1 death box on my character. Check. And then I gain 3 health after resolving the escape or presenting a brief recovery. You may not take any actions in the new hex, no camping, looting, questing, etc. until after your recovery. Okay, so if your health drops to 0, or an event instructs you to gain an injury, immediately determine the type of wound using one of the following 2 methods. Draw a fate card and consult the table, or shuffle and draw 1 random injury card. In this case, I've got a list of injury cards, so let's go ahead and use them. I've got an internal wound. I lose 1 health at the end of every combat. Oh no, sorry, at the end of every combat round. Okay, so hold on. Okay, upon fleeing, I see. So hold on. Draw a fate card to resolve how your escape unfolds. So was my escape successful? I got Elm, which is not. I lose 5 rations or 5 hero points. I've got an abundance of hero points, although I've been trying to save them to level up, but we'll go with losing those. Because I don't know if I can handle being hungry. Oh, I don't have to. Automatic fleeing. This process of forced retreating zone is automatic. It occurs under the following circumstances. Helps drops to 0. So I don't have to. It's automatic fleeing. Each time you're reduced to 0 health points and flee, you must mark 1 death box on your character sheet. I have 3 death boxes. Once they are all filled, you permanently lose an attribute point and reset the death boxes and continue tracking. There are these little special final tune things that you'll mark every time you fill up 3 boxes. You'll mark that little circle underneath it. Those are good. And the final tune is like the end of the game. Shuffle and draw 1 randomly. Hold on. Injury cards enter your battle hand and apply effects immediately during combat. Okay, so I guess this goes into my battle hand. So, battle hand, battle deck. Okay, so I've done all that. Now let's do the upkeep. Oh, wait, no, I'm dragging the wrong direction here. Okay, so I'm not able to rest, so I am down to 5 rations. And now it is the start of day 10. Yeah, that was combat in a nutshell. I'm sorry that I was not able to prove victorious in combat. And now I've got an injury. Now let's go ahead and add that info in on the digital sheet. And it's about the 2 hour mark of my stream. I try to keep these streams short, because I know we all got lives to live. We've got stuff we got to do, and some of us also got a bedtime to keep, right? So let me just add all this stuff in, and we'll go ahead and call this a night. So let's go to our text editing software here and make those changes. I've got 9 hero points. I'm ending the night with 2 brood. drain. My hex is... I am 1 hex northeast of 8. And my health gets dropped down to 3. That's where I left off. Oh wait, no. That's max health, isn't it? I'm doing it wrong. Oh, I've been doing it wrong this whole time. I think that's pretty much it. Oh, rations I didn't update. Rations and my death mark. Okay, there's my death mark over here. So here's, let me zoom in so that way we can see it a little better. So here's our death boxes. So you'll mark 3 of these, and then when you finish, you'll erase them all, and then you'll mark 1. And so again, 1, 2, 3, mark 2, 1, 2, 3, mark that, game over. So your character is like a cat. He's got 9 lives. I can lose 9 times. I can die 9. That's not really die 9 times, but you know, yeah. So I'm going to keep playing this game until I either win or I get all my death marks. I'm going to try to not die next time because that was pretty rough. But I'm glad I got to show you guys a pretty intensive combat. I didn't really get to do any combat last time. It was all narrative, which kind of works for me, being in a funk as I was. But I do thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, this was Wrath of the Wyverns, Sons of Rivesk, a game by Lion Banner Games. Feel free to check them out. I do have a link in the description to the Kickstarter page. And otherwise, join the Discord, like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode. Y'all have a good night.